This video is a brief overview of the 5 W's and H of journalism. The 5 W's are what happened, who was there, when did it happen, where did it happen, and why did it happen. And the H is how did it happen. These 6 questions are questions that good journalists ask themselves anytime they're covering a story or a news event. We're going to ask these questions ourselves in relationship to the trial of Lenny Small and the murder of Curley's wife. But first, let's look at a professional example written by a reputable news source. This article has the headline, "Dozens Are Injured in Shooting at a Nightclub in Little Rock." This article was published by the New York Times and was written by J.C. Fortin on July 1st, 2017. So let's go through this paragraph by paragraph, but make sure you've already read it at least once through before watching this video. If you haven't yet read the article, please pause and come back when you've read it. Alright, the first paragraph here where it says dozens of people, this gives us specifically who was there, so we have a number, and small details like numbers, even if they're broad like this, dozens is an important detail. And it's also included in the headliner, so that's also important to note. So who was there? Dozens of people. And they were wounded by gunfire, so it was a shooting. It also happened on Saturday morning. Now, if this article was written on July 1st, that was that Saturday morning. So I'm going to put that date, July 1st, 2017, in downtown Little Rock. And that's where. And notice I'm not doing complete sentences in my chart, I'm just typing out fragments. And that's okay, you can do that too when you do this chart for the murder of Curley's wife. It appeared to be the result of a dispute. That means why. So possible disputes. Dispute is another word for argument or a fight. And it looks like now we have a specific name of the lounge, the Power Ultra Lounge, and that will be where. Specific details like this are really important for news articles. And it kind of gives you some geographic spaces, but it also tells us the time. It happened at 2:30 a.m. So I'm going to include that in my list. And it said it happened when the MC was speaking into the microphone on stage during a lull in the music. So that's important for the how. Okay, and again, I'm just paraphrasing what the author's already written. This article includes a video, and for those writing the news article, I think that's great. If you want to include videos and other media within your article, I think that's a great technique that good authors and good journalists can use. Now we have a specific person named Kenton Buckner is the chief of police. So we're going to add his name to who is there. And I do want to include his title just to kind of keep track of who's who. Potential gang activity is from a quote that Kenton said, or the Chief Buckner had said, and so I think it's important to include dialogue and to include direct quotes, and that also kind of gives us maybe the why. So possible gang disputes, or gang related. And it looks like we have another person involved in the investigation, that's Lieutenant Clanahan. And he says they're looking for multiple suspects. So I'm also going to include multiple suspects. Possibly gang members under who is involved. Okay. At least 25 people suffered. So 25 people injured. Any kind of specific numbers like that are very important. Then they include things like tweets. I think that's also a great technique to use. Looks like the medical center had 11 people come in for treatment. I find it interesting that this author included the specific artist in their description. I think it was brought up by Chief Buckner, but it almost kind of makes the reader think that the artist performing at the club the night of the shooting had something to do with it, that maybe like their violent lyrics or their violent persona may have, encourage violence. Now, whether that's true or not, we don't know. But that might be under how it happened. Violent artists performing, and I'm going to put a question mark by that because that seems a little bit skeptical, and I'm a little bit unsure of that. And it looks like we had some recent events that are similar to this happening nearby. And I'm going to go ahead and skip to the last paragraph here because I think it's interesting that the author chose to end with a quote from Mr. Hutchinson, and I think that's a relevant thing and a good choice to do at times. But always remember that whatever information you end with could reveal bias or kind of personal preference by the author. So here they used a quote talking about the intensifying crime problem in Little Rock, so that might be related to why this happened, that more crime occurring in Little Rock. Okay, so now that's kind of just the quick nitty-gritty of the 5 W's and 1 H of journalism. Now that you've seen it applied to a professional article, make sure you fill out this chart specifically for the events of the murder of Curly's wife before you start creating scripts and outlines for your news media and your article. Thanks for watching.